Little girl's heartbreaking plea revealed an amazing transformation. Millionaire's touching response. Emily sat on the cracked pavement in front of her house, the chill of autumn tickling her cheeks. Her bright eyes shone beneath tousled brown hair, and her infectious smile masked the struggles that weighed on her little heart. In a world where every neighbor's face was familiar, Emily knew they all had quiet battles. At home, her father's laughter felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the looming specter of unemployment. The proud veteran who once protected his country now wrestled with despair, his shoulders slumped and spirit dimmed. Meanwhile, her mother juggled endless shifts at 2 jobs, coming home late with weary feet and tired eyes, the fridge filled with nothing but a few meager essentials. Despite the somber shadows over her family, Emily held firm to her belief in the power of community. Every Saturday, she volunteered at the local food pantry, greeted by warmth from smiling faces who knew her name. It was there, amidst crates of food and sharing stories, that she felt hope bloom. Yet, on particularly tough days when her father's silent battles weighed heavily on her heart, a nagging thought lurked in her mind. This clear autumn afternoon, Emily's heart raced as she sat scribbling a letter on lined paper. "Dear Mr. Thompson," she wrote, eyes determined. Pillars of hope and charity loomed in the form of the mansion next door, a stark contrast to her own modest home. She asked not only for financial help, but for a bridge between their worlds, a genuine friendship. "It might lighten the load for my dad," she thought, pushing through heartfelt words that burst forth like colorful leaves in the breeze. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The days passed until an unexpected knock fell upon their door. Mr. Thompson stood on their porch, his eyes reading loneliness where once they held enchantment. The letter had struck a chord within him, a soft reminder of the connections he'd let slip. What started as an unanticipated alliance soon morphed into a mentor-mentee dynamic, as Emily's father, tentative but hopeful, navigated job applications with Mr. Thompson's guidance. Laughter replaced silence. Flowers of friendship blossomed amidst broken fences. But just as the bonds seemed unbreakable, a misunderstanding shattered their joy. Old scars and buried demons ignited anger. 2 men confronted their fears, questioning expectations and intentions, as Emily stood in the middle. Her heart ached watching the forceful clash, sensing the shadows creeping back in. Would they merely coexist in this suburban drama, or could they confront their vulnerabilities? As voices rose and silence broke, Emily took a breath, her determination reminiscent of the autumn wind. "What do we really want?" she cried, rising above the chaos. Tall with innocence yet heavy with wisdom, her voice punctured through the storm. Would they find understanding or tumble further apart? The answer hung in the air, as fragile as the leaves falling around them, leaving readers anxious for what their next choice might bring in the journey of community, resilience, and friendship. As the last echoes of Emily's voice faded into the cool afternoon, an uneasy silence cloaked the porch. Mr. Thompson and Emily's father, caught in their tempest of emotions, exchanged wary glances. It was a standoff thick with tension, the air taut as a drawn bowstring. Emily felt as if the very ground beneath her wavered, her heart thrumming in her chest like a frightened bird. "Dave," Mr. Thompson began, his voice steadier than he felt, "I didn't mean to, I just thought." "No, you thought you could swoop in, fix things with your money and connections," her father retorted, the words bitter on his tongue. "You don't get it, do you?" Emily watched as hurt flickered in Mr. Thompson's eyes. He seemed to age a decade in that moment, the weight of his own misunderstandings crashing down upon him. "It was tea about that," he insisted, desperation creeping into his tone. "Emily wrote to me because she believed I could help us all find a way out of this darkness." Sadness coiled in Emily's stomach, and she took a step closer, her small frame a bridge between the 2 men. "Dad, please," she urged softly, "it's not just about the money. You both want the same thing, a better life for us. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, and in them, a hope shone brighter than the midday sun. Is that all we are, then? A charity case? Dave snapped back, frustration bubbling over. He ran a hand through his hair, exasperated. Do you think I asked for this? For you to know? Emily interjected, her childlike voice rising with crystal clarity. You're more than that. You're my dad. And you're a hero. I just wanted a friend for you. Someone to help you see how amazing you really are. Words hung heavy in the air, their potency palpable. Mr. Thompson caught sight of a flicker of something longing, perhaps in Dave's expression. He took a tentative step forward. I can help you find that part of yourself again, Dave. But you've got to let me in. We can build a bridge, not just for you, but for Emily too. The weight of their shared silence wasn't entirely void of tension but shifted strangely, stirring a hint of possibility. Emily dared to hope. What if this misunderstanding could transform into a deepened understanding? Okay, Dave whispered, his own anger now a tired echo. He was weary from fighting not just the world, but himself. Let us try. For her. As the two men began to talk, their voices softer now, Emily felt a pang in her chest that began to melt into warmth. Perhaps, just perhaps, the autumn wind was signaling the first blooms of healing. Still, shadows lingered outside their door. The next day loomed ahead, and uncertainty trailed behind like a stubborn ghost. What lay beyond this fragile patch of understanding? Could they really navigate this together? She pondered, but deep down, she felt something shift within her, a gripping realization. This was just the beginning. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows, and a distant siren wailed. What would tomorrow bring? Would this new alliance endure the challenges ahead, or were they simply setting themselves up for another fall? As the air grew colder, Emily held her breath, ready to watch their next steps unfold. The chill of the incoming night wrapped around them like a blanket, but inside the house, Emily could feel the warmth of a small flame igniting. She watched her father and Mr. Thompson with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Words were shared continuously, tentative yet probing, as if they were navigating a fragile wire bridge. Emily believes in us, Mr. Thompson said, looking straight into Dave's eyes. It's time we both start believing in ourselves. Her father's expression softened slightly, a crack in his aloofness. I don't want to be a burden. I wanted to keep you safe, he admitted, his voice low. But I've been too proud, too afraid to ask for help. Mr. Thompson nodded, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. We all carry our burdens alone, Dave. But sometimes, asking for help isn't a weakness, it's an act of strength. The weight of those words sunk in, but fear still clung to Dave. Emily desperately wished her dad could see the strengths he possessed, the quiet determination brewing just beneath the surface. Let us start with something simple, Mr. Thompson suggested gently. What do you need the most right now? Dave hesitated but then looked directly at Emily, eyes wide with vulnerability. I need to know I can provide for her, that I can give her the life she deserves. The tears threatening to spill over had become an all too familiar ache in Emily's throat. She wanted to reach out, to reassure him. You already do, Dad! Just by being here for me. A silence settled for a moment, folding around them like a protective shell. And in that hush, an agreement began to form. It was as if they were tuning into a frequency of hope, each of them daring to believe that they could reshape their destinies. With renewed energy, Dave straightened. Let us meet tomorrow. If I can't do this alone, then let us do it together. I don't want to be the dad who hides behind pride. Mr. Thompson smiled, a genuine warmth shining through. That's the spirit. We can sketch out plans, even dreams. Together. Have you thought about what life could look like, Dave? Emily couldn't wait any longer. She burst into the conversation with all the optimism of a child. We can build a treehouse. And have movie nights. And go to the lake. Dave chuckled, his laughter breaking against the walls of heaviness. A treehouse, huh? Yeah. She insisted, her excitement palpable. With a slide. And swings. And just like that, the air shifted again, laughter weaving itself into their conversation, replacing the earlier tensions. Emily smiled, feeling the warmth spread. She believed in the power of shared dreams. As conversation whirred around her, she thought of the future, wondering what other surprises awaited them. What if they succeeded? What if they failed? But as the night grew darker and the stars twinkled timidly overhead, a sense of urgency coiled around Emily's heart. Would tomorrow bring more than just talk? She glanced at both men, their faces alight with an unfamiliar camaraderie. But in the back of her mind, a whisper snaked its way back to her. What if new challenges lay just beyond this budding connection? Would they have the strength to weather whatever storm might follow? As she sank into her seat, she realized that tomorrow was not just about dreams. It was also about facing reality together. As dawn broke, the first rays of sunlight pushed through the curtains, filling the small living room with a golden hue. Emily stirred awake, her heart resting in a cocoon of hope and anxiety. Today held promises, new beginnings, and an unknown depth of emotions just waiting to unfurl. She slipped out of bed, her tiny feet padding softly across the wooden floor. The house felt different, charged with anticipation. The laughter and ideas from the night before still echoed in her mind. A treehouse. Movie nights. Her dad, smiling and hopeful. In the kitchen, she found her father already there, a mug of coffee in hand. He looked up, a sleepy smile breaking across his face. "Morning, kiddo," he said, voice still husky from sleep. But there was something new in him, a lightness that hadn't been there before. "Is today the day?" she asked eagerly, excitement bubbling in her chest. "When we make plans?" Dave chuckled softly, shaking his head like a man waking up from a heavy dream. "Absolutely, Em. Today we take our first steps." As they sat down for breakfast, Emily felt the warmth of connection knitting them closer. Each bite of eggs and toast seemed to slip away the remnants of worry. They spoke about the treehouse, its size, how high, and most importantly, where it would stand. Dave's eyes sparkled with amusement as Emily jumped up, mimicking how they would climb to the top. "I want to look out where I can see everything," she declared, arms spread wide as if she could touch the clouds herself. Dave smiled, his heart swelling with a mix of pride and determination. "We can make that happen." After breakfast, they readied for their meeting with Mr. Thompson. Dave dressed up, shaking off the remnants of his weariness, and putting on a brave face. Emily tugged at his sleeve, trying to smooth out imaginary wrinkles, both nervous and excited. "It'll be fine, Dad," she reassured him, sensing his apprehension. "You're strong. You've got this." Stepping outside, the air was crisp and fresh, buzzing with life. As they walked to Mr. Thompson's office, a familiar knot twisted in Dave's stomach. What if they couldn't figure it out? What if they failed? But every glance at Emily's beaming face pushed those doubts back down. They arrived, and Mr. Thompson greeted them with an enthusiastic wave. The warmth of his welcome enveloped them, breaking the ice of uncertainty. "Ready to dream big?" he asked, a hint of excitement in his voice. With sheets of paper and colorful markers spread out before them, the atmosphere was electric. They sketched and talked, visions swirling in the air like butterflies. Dave's spirits soared as he shared his ideas and listened to Emily's wild dreams. Each drawing ignited a fire within him, a sense of belonging that surged through the shared space. But as the session progressed, Emily spotted something in Mr. Thompson's eyes. A flicker of concern. "What's wrong?" she asked, innocent and perceptive at once. Mr. Thompson hesitated, glancing at Dave before answering. "Sometimes the dreams we have can clash with the realities we face. We'll need to be prepared for challenges, too." Emily's heart dropped, anxiety creeping back as she chewed her lip. Would their happiness be fleeting? Would this incredible day lead to something daunting? Dave felt his chest tighten as he looked at Emily's worried face. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." "Right." She nodded, drawing strength from his vow. But with uncertainty looming above, she couldn't help but wonder what challenges would come next. Could they really withstand the storms brewing on the horizon? The discussion began, and as burdens were revealed, it became clear that each of them carried not only hopes but also fears. A weight to navigate, a truth to confront. As the hours blended into an emotional tapestry, Emily sat silently, absorbing the rapid shifts of hope and worry in the room. What lay ahead could reshape everything. She realized they were at a precipice, standing on the cusp of change, ready to step into the unknown. But what lay on the other side? As they packed up, the questions spiraled in her mind. How would they handle the unexpected? The day was still young, but fresh challenges loomed ahead, each waiting to test their newfound alliances and rekindled spirits. The atmosphere shifted as they stepped outside Mr. Thompson's office. Emily felt the weight of their conversation pressing down on her shoulders like a heavy backpack. It was a sunny afternoon, but shadows loomed larger than life in her mind. "What do you think he meant by challenges?" she asked quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Dave hesitated, searching for the right words. "Sometimes the things we want most come with difficulties. It's how we deal with them that matters. We'll tackle anything together." His tone was reassuring, but she could see the shadow creeping into his own thoughts. As they walked home, Emily picked at a loose thread on her sleeve, the threads mirroring her nervous energy. "Do you think we can do this? Build the treehouse and actually make everything happen?" Dave knelt down to her level, his fingertips brushing her chin gently to lift her gaze. "I believe in us. We just have to take it one step at a time." The words were comforting, but they hung heavy in the air around them. What if one step felt too big? Back in their small living room, they took a moment to breathe. Emily's imagination started to swirl with images of the treehouse, how it would look, feel, even smell. She envisioned a wooden ladder, sunbeams cutting through the leaves, laughter echoing in the air. "What if we painted bright colors?" she suggested, a spark of light returning to her eyes. "Bright orange and green?" Dave laughed, feeling the familiar warmth spread through him. "I love it! We can do a rainbow trail running up to the door." But even as they excitedly sketched their dreams on napkins, a knot settled in Dave's stomach. The idea of putting in the time and money felt daunting. The treehouse symbolized their hopes, but it also came with an enormous weight of possible failure that threatened to shatter Emily's bright vision. Later that afternoon, with the sun dipping low in the sky, Emily took a deep breath. "Dad, what if we don't make a treehouse? What if we don't have enough money or time?" A lump formed in Dave's throat. He opened his mouth, scrambling for reassurance, but the truth clawed its way up. "We will, Em. We just have to stay focused on what truly matters, which is us together." They sat on the floor, arm in arm, their sketches spread out around them. Several times, Emily caught him staring at her drawings, a swirl of emotions crossing his face. "Sometimes," he began, voice strained. "Sometimes I just worry about being enough for you. Life gets complicated, but I want you to know that no matter what happens, your heart means more to me than any dream." His words filled the room with warmth but brought tears to Emily's eyes. "What if I disappoint you?" she whispered, the vulnerability cracking her voice. "Oh, sweetheart, you could never disappoint me. You inspire me every single day," he replied, wrapping her in a tight embrace. But even as he spoke, inside him lay an unquiet thought. Had he truly made the right choices to provide the future Emily deserved? The world outside felt unpredictable, challenges lurking, and Dave didn't know if they would come out okay on the other side. That night, as Emily drifted off to sleep, the weight of their conversation sat at the edge of her dreams. David sat by her door, watching over her with a heavy heart. He was determined to figure it out, but in his gut he sensed the storm brewing on the horizon. Just as he turned to leave, a thought hit him like a passing thunderclap. Things could change, and he needed to prepare for the unexpected. What if their next step was one he hadn't even imagined yet? With a deep sigh, he headed for the living room, his heart racing. He knew they had to confront the fears lurking in the shadows. Would they find a way to navigate this together, or would the unexpected pull them apart? As he settled in for a night of sleepless pondering, a sudden knock echoed through the stillness of the house. Who could it be at this hour? And would it bring the answers he craved, or would it only deepen their uncertainty? Dave's pulse quickened at the unexpected knock. It shattered the silence, bouncing off the walls the sound of uncertainty, stirring something deep within him. He hesitated at first, unsure if he should answer. What if it was someone with bad news? But the knock came again, more insistent this time, echoing in the darkened house. "Who is it?" he called out, his voice steady despite the rush of emotions. "Mr. Thompson," came the reply, a hint of urgency cutting through the stillness. Dave's heart sank. He wasn't ready for this. He swung the door open, revealing Mr. Thompson with his hands jammed in his pockets, looking more concerned than usual. "Dave, I hope I'm not disturbing you. Do you have a minute?" "Yeah, of course," he replied, swallowing hard. He stepped aside to let Mr. Thompson enter, signaling for him to take a seat at the small kitchen table. The room felt small, the air thick with apprehension. Dave watched as Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, his brow furrowing as he glanced around. "Do you remember when we talked about your plans for the treehouse?" Mr. Thompson asked, folding his hands together. "Yeah," Dave replied, a knot tightening in his stomach. "Things feel pretty complicated." "I understand that," Mr. Thompson continued. "But I also see something special in what you're trying to create for Emily. It reminded me of a project I once took on, one that changed everything for me." Dave leaned in, interest piqued. "What do you mean?" Mr. Thompson smiled softly. "I started out building a simple playhouse for my kids. But it turned into a community project. Neighbors pitched in, and we created something beautiful together. It brought us closer, everyone, including me." A flicker of hope ignited in Dave's heart. "That sounds amazing. But how do you do that?" "Sometimes the hardest part is just asking for help. You don't have to shoulder all of this alone. People generally want to be there for you and for each other. You'd be amazed at how much support is out there if you open up. But what if people say no? What if they judge us for not being able to manage on our own?" Dave felt the fear rising again, a familiar companion. "They don't have to understand. What matters is that you're trying. Sometimes, just putting yourself out there can lead to unexpected doors opening," Mr. Thompson reassured him. He then pulled out a creased flyer from his pocket and laid it on the table. "There's a community meeting tomorrow evening. I think you should go. You might find others who are working on similar projects, or just want to support each other." Dave looked at the flyer, his mind racing. It was a small step, but it felt monumental at the same time. "I'll think about it," he murmured, feeling both the possibility and the fear intertwining. As Mr. Thompson prepared to leave, he placed a hand on Dave's shoulder. "Don't forget you're doing this for Emily. She sees you as her hero, and every hero needs a little help too." Dave nodded, feeling the weight of the words. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson." After the door closed, he returned to the living room, turning the flyer over in his hands. The idea of asking for help had always felt like weakness, but what if it was actually strength? He glanced into Emily's room, where he could just see the glow of her night light through the cracked door. She had such dreams. He wanted to build that treehouse not just for her, but for both of them. Doubt crept into his thoughts again. What if they didn't have enough time, enough resources? But as he thought about the community meeting, he felt a stir of determination rise within him. The next morning brought a moment of clarity as he watched Emily eat her breakfast, laughter bubbling between them over a spilled cereal box. He had to make a decision. "Emily," he said carefully, "how would you feel about sharing our treehouse project with the neighbors? Maybe they could help us out a little?" Her eyes lit up, brimming with excitement. "Yes. We can make it a big thing, just like you said about Mr. Thompson." But even as his daughter expressed blissful enthusiasm, a deeper worry gnawed at Dave's heart. What if the community didn't come together like Mr. Thompson suggested? What if, by opening up, he shattered Emily's dreams instead of building them? That night, after tucking her in, Dave stared at the flyer again, heart heavy but hopeful. How could he bring a community together? What challenges lay ahead, and would they be able to brave them together as a family? It was time to decide where they would go from here. He took a deep breath and put the flyer in his pocket. Tomorrow could change everything or nothing at all. Would he have the courage to make that leap? The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the backyard as Dave leaned against the kitchen counter, the flyer crumpled in his hand. He glanced up, and for a moment, he could see Emily playing outside, spinning with uncontained joy. She called the neighbor's dog over, laughter spilling from her like sunlight, and his heart swelled with affection. But the laughter soon faded as uncertainty settled in. He knew tonight was crucial. The community meeting could either build a bridge into a network of support, or close the door on his hopes for that treehouse, turning it into just another abandoned dream. "Dad! Come play with us!" Emily yelled, pulling him from his thoughts. With a soft smile, he stepped outside. The evening air was warm, a gentle breeze rustling the grass. The playful scene brought hope, but it was bittersweet. Would his fear of vulnerability hinder him from giving Emily the adventure she deserved? "Just for a little while, huh?" he called back, letting the tension slip a bit as he joined her. They raced the dog, their laughter mixing with its barking, weaving together a tapestry of carefree moments. Small victories in a world swirling with uncertainty. The clock moved too fast. As dusk settled in, so did a familiar knot in his stomach. The community center wasn't far, but it felt like the other end of the world. "Emily, I'm going to a meeting tonight," he said, nervously brushing his hand through his hair. "Can I come?" She bounced on her toes, eyes sparkling with excitement. Dave hesitated. "It's about grown-up stuff. But I promise I'll tell you all about it." Disappointment flickered in her expression, but she nodded, understanding more than he gave her credit for. "Okay, just be brave, Dad." Her words lingered as he left, echoing in the corners of his mind. To be brave. Arriving at the community center felt surreal. Cars crowded the parking lot, and voices buzzed like a swarm of insects. He took a deep breath, swallowing his doubt. As he stepped inside, the place felt alive with laughter, stories, and shared aspirations. It was everything he hoped for yet feared. "Dave!" a familiar voice called out. It was Mr. Thompson, gesturing for him to join a circle of neighbors who'd gathered around a folding table. "Glad you made it. This is just the right place to share what you're thinking," Mr. Thompson encouraged, motioning for Dave to take a seat. Thanks," he stammered, feeling the weight of everyone's eyes on him. There were smiles, genuine, open smiles. He swallowed hard, trying to find his voice. I want to build a treehouse for my daughter, Emily. But I'm struggling to figure out how." I thought maybe his words faltered as he saw a woman in the back nodding, her eyes shining with empathy. "That's a wonderful idea. What does she want in a treehouse?" Others chimed in, sharing ideas and offering help. A carpenter in the group even stood and offered to help with the construction. A warmth unfurled within him as he realized he wasn't alone on this journey. Together, they brainstormed, and suddenly, dreams transformed into plans. Every person there seemed ready to put their hands to work for Emily's vision. Time flew. By the end, Dave felt lighter, a sense of belonging filling the spaces where doubt had lived. For the first time, he felt like he could truly do this. They exchanged phone numbers, planning community workdays, a growing army of neighbors committing to helping. As he stepped outside into the night air, a smile spread across his face. The heaviness lifted, replaced by a newfound hope. He couldn't wait to share the news with Emily. She deserved so much joy, and maybe, just maybe, they both could build something beautiful together. But as he walked home, another worry creased his brow. What if he was starting something bigger than the treehouse? Everything was changing. Would he be ready for what was ahead? The night air was still warm, but an unexpected chill crept into Dave's thoughts as he trudged down the familiar path. With every step, his mind replayed snippets of the meeting faces, laughter, and promises to help. Yet, as he passed the old oak tree, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger than a treehouse. Arriving home, the warmth of the kitchen welcomed him. The delicious aroma of the pasta sauce Emily had helped prepare lingered in the air, making his heart swell with gratitude. He peeked into the living room where she sat on the couch, engrossed in a colorful book, the dog by her side. "Dad! You're back!" Emily exclaimed, sliding off the couch and bounding toward him, her curls bouncing with every step. How was the meeting? Did they like your idea? Dave crouched down to her level, eyes sparkling with joy. You won't believe it, Em. They loved it. We're going to build your treehouse together. Her face lit up like a summer sunrise. Really? That's so cool. She jumped into his arms, her tiny body full of excitement. The hug felt like magic. This was the moment he dreamed of. As they settled at the dinner table, she peppered him with questions about the plans and what kinds of things they'd put in the treehouse. He grinned, sharing ideas of swings and secret compartments. Their laughter filled the room, a melody against the day's worries. But in the back of his mind, whispers of concern mingled with the joyful chatter. Was he ready for what it meant to rely on others? To let them in on his life, his dreams, and what had been a personal battle for so long. Dad, can I invite my friends over to see the treehouse when it's done? Emily asked between bites of spaghetti, her eyes wide with anticipation. Of course, sweetheart. We'll make it a big party. Just like we talked about. He smiled, picturing balloons, cake, and a bunch of kids running around. For a moment, the thought pushed the anxieties aside. After dinner, they cleaned up together, Emily humming a happy tune as Dave washed the dishes. His heart felt full, but something nagged at him. Dad? She said softly, her voice breaking through his thoughts. What did everyone say at the meeting? Was it just about the treehouse? Or something else? He paused, water splashing gently as he turned off the faucet. They liked the treehouse idea, but we talked about building a stronger community too, he admitted, wiping his hands on a towel. He could see lines of worry forming around her brows. Like helping each other? She asked, her expression earnest and sweet. Exactly, Em. It's about working together and sharing our skills. I like that, she said with a nod, her blue eyes shining. But are they going to really help us? His heart sank a little. Yes, I think they will. But I think sometimes it's scary to ask for help. She looked at him thoughtfully, a little frown appearing. But if you don't ask, how will they know to help? You asked, and look. You have friends now. Dave felt a lump form in his throat. Emily's innocent question caught him off guard. It was so simple yet so profound. She was right. How could he expect others to step up if he didn't open up and let them support him? As he tucked her into bed, her warm little body curled up against him, he whispered, You're such a wise girl, you know that? Because of you, Dad. You taught me to be brave, she murmured, her eyelids fluttering shut. Once he turned off the light, Dave stepped into the hallway, heart pounding. He knew the treehouse was just the beginning. In the days that would follow, he'd have to learn to navigate vulnerability and community in ways he never had before. What other surprises awaited him in this process? What would he learn about himself and the people around him? Breathless with curiosity and fear, he found himself at the threshold of something new, unanticipated chapters waiting to unfold. Tomorrow would bring the first group workday. How would he lead? Would he be able to really embrace change? Dave took a deep breath, questioning everything about what lay ahead, and silently vowing to tackle it head-on. In the distance, he heard a car pull up, and a familiar voice called out. Hey, Dave! Ready for some treehouse action? His heart raced anew. This was a time to dive into the unknown and discover just how far they could go together. The sun broke over the horizon, casting a golden glow that filtered through the early morning leaves. Dave sipped his coffee, still full of anticipation and a hint of nerves. Today, the journey began. Today, they would start building the treehouse. Outside, he could hear the familiar rumble of engines and laughter as his neighbors began to arrive. Emily, bursting with energy, raced out the door, her excited giggles mingling with the morning breeze. Dave felt his heart swell. This was her moment too, a chance to see others rally around her dream. Dad, can we have a cool sign for the treehouse? She hollered, running back inside for a marker and a piece of cardboard. I wanted to say Emily's Adventure Tree. Sounds awesome. Dave called back, grinning. As the neighbors trickled in, he felt a mixture of fear and warmth. Each face was familiar yet distant, people he had known for years but rarely interacted with. He tried to focus on the task ahead, reminding himself that they were all here for Emily and the treehouse. "Hey, Dave," came Mark's voice, an old friend who lived down the street. "You ready for this?" "Yeah, I think so," he said, but anxiety tightened in his chest. "Don't worry, bud. Just point us where you want the nails." Mark slapped him on the back, his laughter brightening Dave's mood a little. With tools in hand, they gathered around the sturdy oak tree where Emily had envisioned her sanctuary. The air buzzed with conversation, hands moving with purpose as they prepared to bring this dream to life. With each swing of a hammer, the laughter grew louder, and Dave felt a sense of camaraderie forming. "Okay, everyone," Dave called out. "Let's start by setting up the platform. We need to make sure everyone's on the same page." He felt an inch taller, assuming his role as the leader. But as they began to measure and coordinate, a wave of self-doubt washed over him. Was this really happening? Were they really going to do this together? "Hey, Dave," Emily tugged at his shirt, her tiny face full of serious intent. "Do you think they're happy to help?" "Of course they are, Em," he assured her, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "Everyone loves your idea. Plus, it brings us together." But inside, he wrestled with doubt. What if they didn't actually care? What if they did this out of obligation? As hours passed, the structure of the treehouse began to take shape. Laughter echoed around him, but occasionally, he caught snippets of conversation that turned his stomach. "I can't believe he had to ask for help," he heard a woman murmur. "Doesn't he know how to do this himself?" Dave's heart sank. Were they really whispering about him? It felt like a pinprick to a balloon he'd been desperately trying to inflate. "Dad, look!" Emily shouted, interrupting his spiraling thoughts. She stood with a grin, holding up her makeshift sign. The letters were crooked, but her pride shone through. "This is perfect." He took a deep breath, the knot in his throat loosening. "That's incredible, Em. You're so talented." Seeing her smile brought a warmth to his chest. Perhaps it didn't matter what others thought as long as they were all working together sharing this experience. As the sun dipped lower, and the shadows grew long, they paused to step back and admire the progress. The treehouse was starting to come alive, a symbol of hope and community. Dave looked around, noticing the camaraderie forming among the neighbors. Laughter erupted again, this time more genuine, a sound of connection surrounding them. But with that joy, a question nagged at him, a whisper he couldn't quite shake. "Will this really be enough to change how I feel about asking for help?" The final nail was hammered in as Emily declared, "Let's have a party. Ice cream and cupcakes. Everyone helped, so we should celebrate." That idea sparked joy among the group, and Dave felt the tension release from his body. They decided on a date, and the excitement returned. As the gathering wound down, laughter still hanging in the air, he walked with Emily toward the treehouse. "Dad, do you think we can have more days like this?" she asked, her voice full of hope. He looked at her, taking in her earnest expression. "I think we can, Em. I really think we can." Yet, as they headed inside, another question loomed large in his mind. Would embracing this newfound support mean he would finally step beyond the safety of his walls? Or was he still going to struggle with feeling vulnerable? Tomorrow would bring more work, more connections, and perhaps more challenges. "Just remember," Emily said, wrapping her arms around his waist, "this is our adventure now." As they settled in for the night, a familiar voice echoed in his thoughts, ready for whatever came next. How far could they go with this renewed community spirit? As the dawn broke over the horizon, its warm hues painted the world anew. Emily leaped from her bed, the day bursting with promise. Today wasn't just any day, it was the community party to celebrate the treehouse, a culmination of hope, hard work, and connections. Dave watched her with a mix of pride and apprehension. His heart swelled at the sight of her laughter pealing through the house and filling every corner with light. If only he could bottle this joy and carry it with him forever. He couldn't help but smile as she twirled in her favorite dress, a blur of colors that mirrored her vibrant spirit. "Ready, Dad? It's party time!" Her enthusiasm was contagious, a spark of energy racing through him. "Let us do this, Em. Just give me a moment." He leaned against the kitchen counter, taking a deep breath to steady the fluttering in his chest. Today was the final piece of this journey. Would it solidify their newfound connections, or would the weight of his worries drag him back? They headed outside, and Emily's excitement was palpable, pulling neighbors like magnets. The chatter swelled, laughter sparking as everyone arrived with dishes, smiles, and eager hands. Dave felt the heaviness lift even before the celebration began. This was more than a party. It was a tribute to resilience, to teamwork, and to the power of community. As the sun rose higher, illuminating the fruit of their labor, they gathered around the treehouse, the towering structure now colorful with Emily's sign hanging proudly, a vibrant declaration of ownership. Emily's Adventure Tree. It read, her every letter a reminder of the dream they had all built together. "All right, everyone. Let us cut the ribbon," Mr. Thompson exclaimed, holding a pair of oversized scissors that seemed too comical for such an important moment. The crowd cheered, voices melding into a triumphant chorus. With one quick snip, the ribbon fell, and Emily burst forward, climbing up the ladder with the eagerness of a child exploring uncharted territory. She reached the platform and lifted her arms triumphantly, her joyful silhouette framed by the sky. Cheers erupted, her dream realized in a breathtaking moment. Dave felt tears prick his eyes. Could he have imagined his daughter reveling in this joy only months ago? "You did it, kiddo!" he yelled, joining the swell of cheers. It was more than a treehouse. It was a sanctuary, a symbol of overcoming, of facing fears together, and growing from them. As more children rushed to join Emily, Dave turned to the gathered adults. "Thank you, everyone, truly. Your support means the world to us." The warmth in their responses filled him with an unexpected gratitude, pulling the edges of his heart wide open. "This treehouse is just one piece of what we can do together." Mr. Thompson chimed in, "That's right. Let us plan more projects, more connections. We're stronger together." Every smile, every nod reassured Dave. He was stepping into something new, a place where vulnerability didn't mean weakness, but a pathway to deeper relationships. They shared stories over cupcakes and ice cream, laughter weaving through the air like a warm embrace. Ideas flowed effusively, neighbors banding together to brainstorm future community projects. Emily hopped from the treehouse, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Dad, can we build a fairy garden next?" Her enthusiasm sparkled, and the faces around them lit up with fresh excitement. "Absolutely," he replied, pride swelling in his chest at her genuine zest for life. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the yard, Dave caught a moment's peace amidst the celebrations. He turned inward, feeling the changes within him. The treehouse wasn't just a physical structure, it was a testament to transformation. He had learned that asking for help was not about pulling others into his struggles, but instead opening doors to joy and collective strength. In the gentle evening glow, he locked eyes with Emily. The way she laughed, the way she believed, was his guiding star. This adventure was hers, and together, they would continue creating an amazing life filled with dreams. As the laughter echoed, Dave understood the richness of community. The embrace of shared burdens and joys would be their guiding force. With a surge of determination, he took a step forward, ready to step into the future. He watched as neighbors joined together to share in their dreams. This was the magic of community, and he was finally embracing it with an open heart. And with that realization came clarity. Together they would build a life, a world filled with connection, support, laughter. This was their moment of transformation, and the journey had just begun. Now, it's your moment. You need to subscribe now to catch all the inspiring stories coming up next. Leave a like now to fuel our community of dreamers and doers. Comment below your favorite part of this incredible journey. You'll want to share this moment with us. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a little sprinkle of hope and transformation in their lives. Let us make waves together, and remember you're not alone in this journey.